and then went home. And then I called Carlton to get Kelly's number. And then I was calling Kelly to get Beyonce's number. And I called Kelly and said, "Hey, Kelly." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I know it's might be kind of weird. What's Beyonce's number?" And she said, "This is Beyonce," because they live together and I didn't know it. And bam.
Big Dog and all the 581 ballers. I love y'all.
Beyonce.
Solange, my little sister Angie, Lindo, I love y'all.
I've got a puzzle. Then, do you think of anyone who made a worse mistake than Beyonce's former partner, Lindell Ocock? I'll hold off. Actually, since there is no one to answer, I don't have to. Beyoncé ended that romance more than 20 years ago, and their lives couldn't have been more different. Unquestionably one of the greatest performers, Beyoncé is a megastar with songs that last for days. A Lindell is just Lindell. It gets much hotter though, since Lindell Locke has been talking about his time with Beyoncé, and his remarks have left everyone speechless. For example, how did Beyoncé act when the cameras weren't rolling? Did Queen truly cheat on him by seeing Jay-Z? What, exactly, about Beyoncé? Does he know that we don't? 'Cause you spilled it. Nowadays, the majority of us instantly think of Jay-Z when we think of Beyoncé, since it seems like they have been together for ages. To be completely honest though, most of us can't see Beyoncé with anybody else. However, additionally, he was at her side at some of the most significant turning points in her life. I'm referring to the time when she was still working hard and pursuing auditions everywhere to establish her reputation. Thus, Lindell is the one who knows the most about Beyoncé's past before everyone was aware of her name. The problem is that in 1993, at the ages of 12 and 14, Lindell and Beyoncé first crossed paths. Kelly Rowland was the one who formally introduced them, and they were both members of the same Houston church. And based on what Lindell is saying, he fell in love, right? Away. He believed that she was the most beautiful girl in the world and that she looked like an angel. Sparks were flying everywhere as soon as they met. Additionally, Beyoncé and Linz talked on the phone and spent a lot of time together after school before beginning a romantic relationship. As you are aware by now, Beyoncé began singing and dancing at a very young age. And until 2 years into their relationship, Lindell was unaware of all of it. He just saw that Kelly and Beyoncé frequently traveled to Atlanta on a monthly basis. She was still the quiet, reserved student in school when she returned. Queen Bey told him that she had been attending industry executive auditions and aspired to become a celebrity. When he questioned her about why she was traveling so much.
Now, at this time, y'all were so young. I mean, was she actually singing then?
Yeah.
She was.
Yeah, she was never not singing, but she did not. It wasn't anything she talked about. She didn't talk about. Like, I found out like over time. You know, it has to. You have to say something about it. Like, I'm going out of town. It's like okay. It's like I'm out of town. Where you at? I'm in Atlanta. What are you doing in Atlanta? You know, I mean, it's like it has to. So, and when she brought up, first time she brought up, I'm sorry, I talk fast, I mumble, and I'm playing with my Rubik's Cube. But when she mentioned it, she said, "I don't normally talk about this. I don't like to talk about this. This is, it's not a part of her life that she wants to put into other people's world, so that, it was personal." So I left it out.
She was pretty humble about the situation at the time.
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk about getting a record deal that they don't get.
Additionally, despite her youth, Beyoncé never wavered in her ambitions. She still found time for Lindell whenever she could, though. Additionally, when she was 15, the two of them enjoyed their first kiss during a Brian McKnight performance. Beyoncé nevertheless managed to carve out time from her hectic schedule to accompany Lindell Locke to significant occasions like his high school prom, when Destiny's Child truly took off. And she accompanied Lindell and his buddies on their outings. But things only became more difficult after that. Everyone in their immediate vicinity believed that Beyoncé and Lindell were doomed to be together forever after witnessing their intense love for one another. However, as soon as Destiny's Kid began to grow, it gradually became clear that their paths in life were diverging significantly. Beyoncé was out there performing, traveling, and moving closer to her goals every day. Lindell, meanwhile, was essentially at a halt. had nothing to do, was content to live in the now, and wasn't attempting to think too much about the future. Thus, Lindell was at home getting high while Beyoncé and Destiny's Child were out promoting their group's first hit single.
I took it for granted.
Took it for granted?
Yeah, I want to say that's what it was. Taking it for granted, and then, let's say, took it for granted, and then checked to see if she thought I took it for granted. And then she answered me with yes, bye. Yeah.
So you pretty much played with her emotions or something?
No, it wasn't on purpose. This was not on purpose. This was looking back at the situation and seeing the situation for what it was. You know? At the time, it was just, I went and did something else, and then went to her house and went to sleep. And then when I was supposed to be hanging out with her, and then the next day, you know, went to go do something else again. I mean, that's what it was. That's the actions that were taking place. But with those actions, what was occurring was me taking it for granted.
Even though they continued to make an effort to support one another, the fractures were beginning to appear by the time DC's second album came out. Lindell even said that she was all about her profession and image, whereas I was aimless and enjoying myself. It became clear that she was changing once they began to smash big. She grew distant. When I informed her that she was changing completely, she gave me a look and replied, "I am." Lindell bluntly informed Beyoncé that he wanted them to lead a straightforward, typical existence during a disagreement about their shared future. However, when he stated that, Beyoncé instantly became irate and told him that she had desired this life since she was a young child and that she wouldn't sacrifice it for anyone, not even him. The fact that Matthew Knowles grabbed Lindell aside and asked him directly about his future intentions only made everything more difficult. Furthermore, Lindell had nothing to say. How embarrassing must it have been for him to be questioned about his job aspirations repeatedly and to always have nothing to say. It must have been really awkward to have them treat you like you were nothing in comparison to their daughter. So I'm willing to wager that he fled whenever he noticed Matthew Knowles approaching, and eventually insufficient. And the conflicts in his relationship with Beyoncé were the source of his discomfort when it wasn't Matthew. She couldn't help but have higher expectations for Lindell now that she was surrounded by other business executives, particularly guys who had significant money and influence. However, he was unable to live up to her expectations. To see Janet Jackson, Beyoncé once obtained backstage passes. When Lindell first met the girl, he was really apprehensive. He was stuttering and continued to babble endlessly. Who can blame him, though? Given that she is genuinely the Janet Jackson living legend, I'm sure we wouldn't even know what to say if we met her today. Despite this, everyone could see Lindell's anxious energy. Janet smiled and told him that he made her think of one of her nephews, to which he replied that her nephew must be really great. Lindell didn't give his actions much thought at the moment since, after all, how else was he expected to behave? In front of Janet Jackson, listen, Beyoncé requested her cousin Angie to go out with him, since she didn't feel that way at all. Yes, Lindell was hurt by it. He couldn't see why it was illegal to feel thrilled about meeting someone he had long respected, even if he wanted to realize that Beyoncé was only there on business and was attempting to preserve her reputation. And because he began behaving severely, it appears that Lindell began to feel pressured to be or do anything if he wanted his relationship with Beyoncé to last. It was also out on the streets, drinking and sleeping with other women while Beyoncé was out of town. But did Beyoncé give a damn? She did, however, continued to forgive him and was attempting to make up for their increasing separation by recognizing his significance in her life with songs like Perfect Man and Dangerously in Love. Beyoncé also offered him a particular shout-out when her debut album was published, stating, "Thank you, Lindell. I dedicate Second Nature to you, since you are incredibly dear to me."
Dangerously in Love, that's the number one B song, Dangerously in Love, because that song was written for me and about me. So,
Dangerously in Love?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's number one. That's my favorite song.
However, they just had little chance of remaining together after that. When Beyoncé attended all of these industry gatherings as a teenager, she was very different. At the time, Lindell was still a hometown kid who was unsure about his future. But even though their lives had taken such divergent paths, he said that he still had feelings for her due to their shared love and memories. And he remained optimistic that they would be able to start a life together. Given that Beyoncé had been checked out and was moving on to larger and better things, it appears that Lindell was the only one still in that relationship. And I mean Jay-Z when I say better. Lindell addressed Beyoncé in 2003 over the reports that she and Jay-Z were dating. Additionally, the fact that they were dating was more or less a mystery to everyone around them. However, Beyoncé continued to deny it outright. She said that even though Jay wasn't her type, she still had feelings for Lindell. Regarding how and when she and Jay-Z first met, she was never able to provide him with a solid response. Additionally, her responses changed each time he questioned her. But there was nothing left to lie about when her 21st birthday arrived that year. It was impossible to reassemble the components. And that day marked the official end of their romance. Since Beyoncé and Lindell didn't communicate after that day, anything connecting her to her past. Furthermore, Lindell never truly forgot about her. How, after all, could he? Since she is one of the most well-known celebrities in the world and is present everywhere. Nevertheless, he has admitted that his greatest regret is losing her. Additionally, he stated, "My greatest regret is still losing Bey since she was the love of my life and I was hers. She would often tell me, Lindell, I'm afraid I'll never be able to live my life without you. I want to keep you as my own forever." However, he was now limited to observing her from a distance. Fans also concurred that it was all for the best because it's likely that Beyoncé wouldn't have achieved her current success. He wouldn't have succeeded if she had remained and clung to him since he wasn't prepared to change. Playing around and having fun are nice, but he wouldn't make it in the direction she was heading. He was simply an ordinary person, whereas she was on her way to the top. It would never remain the same. After that, I wouldn't get married. He will never find someone better than Beyoncé. Let's face it. However, do you guys believe that their romance ended as it should have? Did Lindell really make a mistake with Beyoncé? Post your thoughts in the comments section. Additionally, remember to like and subscribe as there will be more in the future. I'll see you in the upcoming video too. Goodbye, baddies.